Louis recovered his composure and tried one last time to change the way his kingdom was taxed and governed. He called an unprecedented meeting of all three estates, the nobility, the clergy, and the third estate, who represented the mass of the common people.
Messieurs, ce jour que mon cœur attendait depuis longtemps est enfin arrivé.
In August 1788, the Treasury was bare. The government was forced to summon an Estates General. It really was a last throw of a dice.
Despite their huge numerical superiority, the votes of the Third Estate only counted the same as those of the nobility and the clergy.
You will always have a situation where the two votes of the so-called privileged orders, that is the nobility and the clergy, representing maybe less than 500,000 people, will always outweigh the wishes of the 27.5 million people of the Third Estate. So straight away, you've got a political deadlock as soon as the Estates General meet, and getting out of that deadlock will be what happens over the summer of 1789 that triggers the revolution.
A difficult time grew even worse for Louis and Marie Antoinette, with the death of their eldest son.
Misericordiam adiuvete Dominus gratia Spiritus Sancti.
The death of the Dauphin, the young heir to the throne, is quite a big psychological shock, actually. The king is met by a tremendous amount of support from the nobility. Psychologically, it draws the king and his nobility closer together in a way.
It was a crucial moment. Louis's sudden shift in sympathy back to the nobles meant that their enemies, the representatives of the Third Estate, decided he was never going to help them.
The king is increasingly finding it difficult to distance himself from his nobles and their interests. That's the world he moves in. This is Versailles is all about being surrounded by nobles. He's hardly ever met his own subjects out of that context. So he's swaying towards supporting the nobles.
1788, you already have a burgeoning political crisis, and it's developing against a background of very serious food shortage.
For the people of France in the 18th century, Flour is the essence of life itself. Bread, the measure of existence.
Most ordinary people in France ate at least 2 pounds a day of bread. Bread was all important. Its price was immediately felt by everyone. If the price doubled, you were in big trouble.
Under Louis's financial mismanagement, the cost of flour skyrockets. Sparse food supplies are hoarded. The cost of a loaf of bread soon equals a month's earnings. Hunger turns to rage. Riots break out across France. Homes are robbed. Bakeries are raided, and shopkeepers suspected of stockpiling bread are lynched on the spot. With the economy in shambles, the banks force Louis to hire a finance minister, Jacques Necker. An enlightened thinker, Necker is popular with the people in a way that Louis can only envy.
Jacques Necker was undoubtedly the most popular minister throughout the spring of '89 because he's taken the line publicly in his writings that the government's duty is to make sure that there is enough bread and grain for everybody.
And Marie Antoinette certainly is swaying towards them.
Vous souvenez-vous de ce que vous avez dit le jour où vous êtes devenu roi?
Mon Dieu, je n'ai pas voulu cela.
Et le jour où vous avez reçu la couronne?
Mon Dieu, qu'elle est lourde.
With negotiations at the Estates General still hopelessly bogged down, the Third Estate sent a group to Versailles to ask for Louis's help.
Si ces messieurs du tiers-état souhaiteraient vous voir.
He refused to meet them. It was the final straw.
The Third Estate takes matters into its own hands and declares itself the National Assembly. And this is absolutely critical because it's the first time in modern European history that a representative body has claimed power in the state based on a democratic principle that it represents 80% of the French people.
It was a genuinely radical, revolutionary moment because they were saying that they were not going to disperse until France had been given a constitution.
At the Estates General, Robespierre and his colleagues are demanding that the nobility and clergy pay taxes. But Louis feels increasingly threatened by the growing radicalism of the Third Estate. Then, on June 20th, after a 6-week deadlock, the deputies arrive to find that they are being silenced.
On June 20th, when the deputies come to their meeting and find the doors locked, they suspect a plot. They move next door to what we call a tennis court, which was really a handball court, and gather together and swear they will not stop meeting until they have a new constitution.
The deputies declare themselves a new National Assembly, the true representatives of the people of France.
The tennis court oath is one of these great symbolic moments in the history of the French Revolution. You had these people assembled in this great open space of the tennis court, raising their arms in this sort of quasi-Roman salute. And for the National Assembly, this was a moment when they realized something of their power and their dignity and saw that they really could defy France's king.
In one revolutionary stand of defiance, the National Assembly is born. It will be a communion of voices from around the country, a parliamentary body enacting the people's will.
La République had endured years of war and failed military campaigns. A play for power by kings who cared more for their legacy than their people. With the nation deeply in debt, the nobility carried on with their lavish lifestyles. ignoring our struggles and levying taxes upon us to shoulder the load for La France. We starved in the streets, tossed aside like rats. No longer would we be left to die. We formed a National Assembly for the Third Estate, our first step in the fight for independence. Yet, we never could have known the dangers that lie waiting. The National Assembly vowed for life. We were willing to do what was needed, violently, if necessary. We surged, unstoppable. The taste of freedom and liberty fell upon each of our lips. When La Bastille fell, we grew hungrier, not for bread or for grain, but for justice.
Faced with the crumbling of the structure of the old Estates General, Louis XVI decided finally that he would resort to force. As a result, he began to call in troops and to assemble troops around Paris.
They wish to stay.
Yes, sire.
Very well. To the devil with them. Let them stay.
Sire, I truly believe there is no great challenge to the monarchy in what the Commons are doing. Only a request for your Majesty's recognition of their place in the lawful order of government.
They are demanding a share in power with the king. And that is treason. The whole lot of them should be hanged. As an example.
An example? But if the people side with the Commons...
You must bring up troops.
I must advise against that, sire.
Obviously. We must try to find some compromise.
There's no compromise.
Except time. If your words are to be believed, Monsieur Necker, His Majesty cannot oppose this assembly without endangering his position even further. Surely, therefore, he should not attempt to do so, but rather agree to their demands, for now, and prepare to meet their next demands with strength.
It seems, rather, that Her Majesty has understood the situation better than any of us.
In this city, all men are not created equal. For centuries, my countrymen have suffered under the oppression of an ignorant and decadent aristocracy. The common people cry out for food, for liberty, for justice.
Welcome to your life. There's no turning back. Even while we sleep.
Get out!
come from Versailles. The king has dismissed Necker. No! Yes, citizens, it's the signal for a St. Bartholomew's Day massacre of patriots. Tonight, the battalions of Swiss and Germans will march from the Champ de Mars to cut our throats. We have only one chance to save ourselves. To arms! To arms! The whole of Paris must take up arms! We know the enemy, but we must also know our friends. Let all who are prepared to fight proclaim it proudly with defiance. Wearing this green cockade, green, the color of hope, let it be our symbol, our uniform, the sign of victory. Are here. Yes, I am the one speaking up for liberty. You won't take me alive. I will die before I see France enslaved.
Lieutenant, any problems?
Only one, sir. If I give the order, will they fire?
Citizens! We must have the Bastille! We want the Bastille! Remove the cannon!
Let the delegation from the Permanent Committee of the Hôtel de Ville through!
Move! Move! Go on, move! Let these gentlemen from the hotel come in through! Make way! Make way!
Make them remove the cannon!
Yes! Remove the cannon!
I've never even heard of your committee.
The Paris electors have been assembled at the Hôtel de Ville since yesterday and have designated a permanent committee to ensure that order is maintained in the capital.
Are you here to force a confrontation or to seek ways of avoiding one?
We are not here to make threats.
Then we are agreed upon essentials. Gentlemen, I was about to begin lunch. Would you do me the honor of joining me?
Obvious to us now, monsieur, that you are not hostile to the people of Paris. So I say to you, show it. Withdraw your cannon. The Permanent Committee requests it.
But the cannon have always been there.
As a permanent threat to the people, it's intolerable.
They can't even be fired. You saw them. They won't hit anybody from there.
Nonetheless, they are an insult to the people.
You must withdraw them, Governor. In short, you are asking me to make a gesture.
A gesture of goodwill.
My compliments to Lieutenant de Flue. Request him to withdraw the cannon. And block up the embrasures?
Monsieur, my committee could not have asked for more.
Come with me. What's going on? Give us a delegation! Shooting a cannon! My God, they're going to fire! What to warn the district?
Do you know how many prisoners we have here? 7. 7 prisoners. 4 of them are forgers brought in from other prisons. One's a murderer. And there's a crazy Irishman who thinks he's Julius Caesar. You see, Monsieur Turio, I have kept my promise.
You must surrender your fortress, monsieur.
That was not part of our agreement.
The permanent committee of the Hotel de Ville...
Bastille is in our district. And the district demands that the doors of the Bastille be opened to the people.
You must understand, gentlemen, that with all these new authorities, it is exceedingly difficult for an officer of the king to know where his duty lies. Open the door to the people? I cannot.
Bring down the bridges! We want the Bastille! They're waving us in! Let's go! You don't understand. They're advancing instead of going back.
Choice. Take him!
No. It would be a slaughter.
As you were! Governor, if you don't give the order, we're through.
Take aim!
Take him! Fire! Fire, for God's sake!
Doing?
Who's calling? Lieutenant de Fleur, I have a message from the governor.
This is the governor's message. Listen, we have 20,000 barrels of gunpowder. Either you accept to surrender, or we will blow up the lot and you with it. Citizens, no surrender. They must lower the bridges. Lower the bridges.
Sorry, sir. We can't let you do it. What is it?
Sire, the Parisians have taken the Bastille.
Taken the Bastille? What for? Is it an uprising?
No, sire.
The Great Fear. In summer 1789, the French Revolution began because of many reasons. Some of these were bad harvests, overtaxation, a broke monarch, and the king's failure to successfully make changes. The king's misguidance of France led to the violent and forceful events would eventually return order to France. After the storming of the Bastille in July, fear and violence swept through France. Rumors that the feudal lords had hired robbers to murder peasants were then spread all over. These were not true, however, but it created a universal fear that led to the peasants' uprising against the local lords. Peasants went crazy, burning down houses, burning documents, and letting horses go loose. They even broke into manor houses, killing many of the nobles, and took possession of their properties.
Vous voyez, monsieur le comte, toutes les corvées, ça durait depuis trop longtemps.
Ces attaques contre les propriétés des nobles à travers tout le pays ne sont pas de vulgaires actes de vandalisme. Ces attaques doivent nous remplir de fierté. Elles sont les bûchers expiatoires des privilèges. Dites au peuple que vous reconnaissez l'injustice de ces droits acquis dans des temps de ténèbres et d'ignorance.
Notre collègue breton a raison. La colère du peuple est une juste colère. Moi, vicomte de Noailles, je propose que tous les privilèges et les droits de la noblesse soient abolis.
Moi, comte de Beauharnais, je propose que désormais les emplois soient ouverts à tous, nobles et roturiers.
Moi, duc de La Rochefoucauld-Liancourt, demande que l'Assemblée nationale abolisse enfin l'esclavage des nègres, ces créatures dont il ne faut jamais oublier qu'elles sont humaines.
Moi, évêque de Nancy, je renonce au bien que l'Église s'est approprié injustement depuis trop longtemps.
The energy of the streets invigorates the National Assembly. A charter is penned within days called the Declaration of the Rights of Man. Under this daring new document, archaic class distinctions are to be abolished and all men considered truly equal.
The Declaration of the Rights of Man was a declaration promulgated by the National Assembly which said in its text that the sovereignty belongs to the people, belongs to the nation. The king is nowhere mentioned in this document. Therefore, by issuing this document, the Assembly was effectively seizing power for itself.
With the new National Assembly as their voice, the citizens of France set out to change the very fabric of their world. They demand a constitutional monarchy, equal rights for all men, and justice under reasonable laws.